Okay, starting part 2 of creating a hinge tutorial. So I have these two objects that I used duplicate as special to create because I wanted it to be mirrored. Now I want to connect these two parts, right? So I can use the bridge tool. Okay, but before I do use bridge, I know that bridge works on one object, right? It doesn't work between two objects. So I need to combine these two objects. So I'm going to select them both and do mesh and combine, right? And again, I'm going to delete history on them. So now it's ready for the bridge tool. But again, there's this one other step here, right? We know we need, so if I go to edge and select these two edges and say bridge, it's going to give me an error. Why? Because, you know, we're going to get double, like non-manifold geometry. We need a hole here, right? Because if we bridge everything here, the outside of these objects, it's going to be the inside, and Maya doesn't like that. So we need to create holes, right? So to create the hole, I'm going to select all these faces here and all these faces here, and because they're faces, I can hit delete. If there were edges, I shouldn't just hit delete on the keyboard. I should do shift right click, delete edge, right? So I'm gonna delete these faces. I think Maya is smart enough to figure out how to bridge these two sides, right? So I'm gonna double click on this edge loop, shift double click on the other edge loop, and do shift right click and bridge. And voila, it's here, right? Again, I'm gonna go in and delete history. So now the only part that is left, it's this cylinder part that goes inside, right? And to create this, I'm gonna use the Polygon Cylinder as a base. I'm gonna click on it, it's gonna get created, and because I want it to match this hole here, I'm gonna set the exact same number of subdivision all around it. So for this hole, I set it to be like 8 subdivisions around it, so I'm gonna do the same for this cylinder. I'm gonna click on this subdivision axis, I'm gonna put 8, and then I'm gonna scale it. I'm gonna scale it in this plane, right? So I can use this square to scale it in only this this plane, right? Okay. Now I wanna rotate it exactly at 90 degrees. I'm gonna look up here. So the only channel that has rotation number is rotate Z. I'm gonna go in and put 90 here, okay? And now I want to scale it so that it comes out of these two sides of the hole, right? So I can use this scale manipulator only in this direction so that it is out of the hole, right? Then I want to go into my side view, and I can use scale again to match it to the hole. I'm not going to be scaling it from the middle icon of the manipulator for scale, because this is going to be scaling everything and I don't want the length of the cylinder to change. So I'm going to use this square to scale this up. That looks good. So now that I have the cylinder going inside this, everything is ready for creating the final parts, okay? So to do that, I'm going to use Extrude. I'm going to select the faces all around this two sides of this cylinder, right? So you can select them like this, or you can double click on the faces. Everything is going to be selected, and you you subtract from your selection like this by hitting down Control on your keyboard and drag over these faces. Okay, that's just one way of doing this. So now that I have both faces selected on the both side of the cylinder, I'm gonna do shift right click extrude face, and you know, the manipulator might appear on any of these faces that you selected last, so don't worry about it. If you use the extrude manipulator, it's gonna do extrusion for both of this set of faces, right? So because I want to get to the part that is like wider, I'm gonna use scale in the extrude tool, right? So again, I'm gonna click on this cube so that extrude tool goes into scale mode, and then I'm going to use this square to scale everything up like this. Okay, so now I want to preserve this edge loop here and get extra geometry, so I do extrude again, and you can repeat the previous tool that you used by hitting G on your keyboard. So I hit G on the keyboard, it means extrude again. This time I push them away, and I can see that it's doing it correctly, right, on the both sides. And again, I want to preserve this edge loop, so I don't just move this up, right? I do extrude again, move this away, and I can check that, you know, everything is correct. It's doing it on the other side too. And I'm going to use a scale again, a scale in the extrude tool. I'm going to click on this cube, so it's in the scale mode. I'm gonna scale everything down, right? And that's it. That's the whole thing.